Here we're going to start the OpenWindows server. This was Sun's funny little hybrid news in X11. It's a little faster than the last video I made of this, since we're running on a SparkStation IPX here. It's a much faster machine, 40 megahertz Spark processor. So here we are. This is the OpenLook Window Manager, OLWM. All of these applications included with it use the OpenLook user interface, which is a little bit interesting. It's a joint development between Sun, Xerox, and AT&T, and it's actually kind of a continuation of the Xerox Stars user interface and a lot of its conventions, so it makes it a little bit interesting to me. And the UI toolkit for these applications here is called XView. And what's interesting about this help viewer is I think this may actually be a news application. We can test that. We open up the shell tool here, which is one of the terminal emulators. There's another one called command tool, but let's see here. So the interesting thing about this is if we try to take a screenshot, seems to be an interesting palette clash problem. I haven't quite figured out what's up with that, but there was XV. One's very popular. So anyway, one interesting thing about this is when you open a menu, like here on the desktop, if you right click, that's kind of, you know, if you've used an older window manager, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if you push this little pin in here by moving your mouse pointer over and letting go of the right mouse button, you can also pin it there. And so on and so forth. So anyway, let's look at some of the things that come with it and how they behave. So this is the command tool, just your typical shell. It does seem to have some interesting features, but I haven't really dealt with them yet. I just kind of dislike it because you can't use arrow key recall in Bash or arrow key line editing in it for some weird reason I haven't figured out yet. But that's the command tool. So an interesting thing here about OpenLook, if we want to look at something here, you see this is kind of like a drag and drop receptacle, if you will. So if we just drag, say, this little shell script I made here that launches Netscape, thus we see it. I thought that was an interesting feature of this user interface. Let's see, File Manager, let's look at that a little bit since we're here. So if you've ever had a Sun and wondered why the hell the keyboard has a props key on it, it actually means properties, and it's used by OpenLook. Let's see, where's that key on my keyboard? So if I click on this shell script again and hit props, thus we see the properties. Now another thing you probably noticed is that mouse pointer jumped, and that's the kind of thing that happens with OpenLook a lot. Especially when you, let's see here, let's go to somewhere. NFS share with a bunch of stuff. You see how the mouse pointer is moving with the scroll bar elevator. Which I thought was pretty strange. Yeah, this is actually a pretty decent file manager. I mean, this is late 80s, early 90s. So I mean, if we look and say, you can do things like multiple selections. If you want to, let's see, here's there. How do you make a folder in this? You could say, or you can copy it as a symlink, which I think is cool. So the cut, copy, and paste metaphor actually works in this file manager, which is, again, very, very surprising, given that this It's in the version that's on my Sun 360, which is from like 1990, so it's kind of early for that ability to kind of copy and paste files, if I recall correctly. Anyway. Mail tool. This is the mailer. I don't think I've actually used this before, so let's see what it does. Compose. 2. Wow, mini test. Ooh, you can include a voice memo, but I don't have the speaker / microphone 3.5 millimeter to mini DIN 8 cable for this machine. No. So if I deliver it. Oh, hey, look. I sent myself an email. If I pin it like that, and unpin that, closes it. So if I click this also, where it says close, or I could right click on the menu bar, that actually means like iconify, minimize. This is the OLWM window manager, by the way. And yep, there goes that mouse pointer jumping. Sure, I'll save changes. Let's manage them calendars. Multi-browse? Groupware? Shared calendars? I wonder if this does support that actually. I want to put that past Sun. Again, if you've ever looked at screenshots of Xerox Star or Viewpoint, which is the successor to the software, or a Global View, again, you'll see these UI widgets are starting to look kind of familiar. So let's dupe around. Oh, I did not mean to bump that camera. It's time 6:23. It's not X clock, it's Sun's own little clock. Oh no. Oh cool, there's a stopwatch. Oh no, I think I was reminded of my dupe appointment. Here's Sun's little calculator with the XU toolkit. Also, one thing interesting is there's a key on these Sun keyboards labeled front, which you can use to reorder windows around. It makes the window in front of you or underneath your cursor either go all the way to the back of the stack if it's at the front, or it brings it to the front of the stack, which I thought was kind of an interesting feature. See anything fancy you could do? Ooh, 3D look. Ooh, that's a little bit more aesthetic. Zero from the left hand to the right hand of the calculator. Oops. See, windows have little grab handles that stand out. This is actually really nice looking, I think, and kind of clean and underrated for a user interface. Kind of reminds me of a parallel dimension next step in a way. Anyway, print tool. Don't think that'll do us much good since there's no printer set up for this machine, although... Huh, Maybe I should try to set that up. I bet I could finagle it with GhostScript or something too, even. Well, that's not doing anything. Let's try the audio tool. While we don't have the audio cable, the system does have a built-in speaker. The question is, I can remember where the Sun sample audio files are hiding. Ha, sound. Oh, cool. Doge barking. Sometimes you can actually, so, interesting thing about these menu buttons on the menu bars is that if you click on them with the left button, it selects the first option, but if you right click on them, it gives you the whole menu, and you can, as you saw there, pin the menu too. See what all these other ones are. These are some great cheesy sound effects. What else is in here? Well, that's ironic given that this, what else is in here? Ooh, that's a harsh reorder tone. Space music? Holy shit, did I hear this in like a Java demo at one point or something? I think I did. Yeah, there was some demo that came with the old macOS runtime for Java for like macOS 8.5 or 8.6. It had this music. I remember kind of being enamored by this dumb demo when I was like 10 years old. Anyway, I digress. Oh, touch tones, that's ironic. This machine has an AT&T asset tag on it. Ooh, a train. See, the tape tool, I think this is really just, I figured out how to make this work one time. Let's see if I can maybe... No, that's not how it works. Excuse me. Yeah, I used to know how to coax this into working with a tar file, but it's not coming to me right now. I don't know why binder's not coming out though. I think it's kind of like the clipboard. There it goes. Oh no, what is this? Oh, I think this is where you set up, I guess, file associations and icons for the file manager and other applications. Huh, cool. I did not know that's where you did that. And some of them, actually, let me show you something here. Yeah, some of these do have their own little icons too. Also fix interleaf, I'm gonna fix frame. I'm gonna guess FrameMaker and interleaf had some things they needed to fix to work here. Oh, I already opened Snapshot. Snapshot's just simple. Just a simple screenshot utility here. And it's taking sweet time, so let's go to the icon editor. Or Son, no, what did you do to us this time? By the way, I'm pretty sure the Unix Haters Handbook has a few rants in there about this thing, and they're probably for good reason. Just based on my past few months worth of experiences with this thing. Alright. Icon there. Let's see, do we have any icons we can edit? Really, son? Really? You're gonna hit me with user interface inconsistency when I least expect it? Garbage. Well, we can make our own shitty pixel art. Just kidding. There's a root view. Where'd you go? Where's my color palette? I want to change my color palette. Of course, get our obligatory performance meters going on. Turn on all the meters. Shell tool is just a variant of command tool. We've already covered that. Let's look at the demos now. Ooh, bouncy. Amazing. A bunch of mazes. Kinda trippy. Wow, this is a very rudimentary solitaire. Unlike this very much more pretty X-View based spider solitaire. Yes, son, I would really like to discard the current game. Oh wait, I already opened that. You can see the hilarious palette flashes because woo, 8-bit graphics frame buffer, woo. Rather 8-bit color, I should say. And that did not really seem to do anything. Unless, oh wait, is this what I think this is? This might be a news application, I bet it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a news application, not X11, which means this is actually display PostScript based stuff, and so is this text editor right here. And you might say, but that looks like Xview, and you're right, it does, but it's not Xview. This is actually TNT, the news toolkit. It just looks like Xview because they both follow the OpenLook interface standards, and you can see this is kind of slow because PostScript, yeah. So what we got here? Oh man, things are slowing down. Oh no. Guess these might be news demos. Too bad I got rid of the one that showed you the X-Wing fighter that was in the one on my Sun 360. Aw. Let's see, what does raster wrap do? I choose picture and nothing happens. Ah, cool. Ah, yes, now we can make our own aesthetics here. Thank you, base son. Sally dishes space. Cool, actually. Whoa. This is the OpenLook Intrinsics toolkit, which is AT&T's OpenLook GUI toolkit. Because apparently XView wasn't good enough for AT&T, I guess. Anyway, yeah, it shows you a lot of the different OpenLook widgets here. Oblong button. See, there's a little bit of a difference there. Notice how the drop-down menu there's a bit different. Same funky mouse button or scroll bar behavior. We're going to look at the news toolkit sampler, TNT. There's a bunch of these windows. It beeps when you click news. Oh, son. Ooh, pixel art. I don't know, what is on the menu today, son? Why don't you tell me? One thing I dislike about the TNT demo is all these different windows you have to close. Ah, the emergency broadcasting system. Again, these are news applications right here, just here. But this is also X11, as you saw there were some X applications earlier. Actually, this window manager and the file manager, those are all X. So I think that's interesting that they combine the two, even if it runs as crappy as it does. If you run just standard X11 from the MIT source code, it is much faster on this machine. Whoa. There's a large variety of fonts to choose from. Let's look at the other menus. Refresh. Forces everything to redraw. Function keys, I haven't quite figured out why this exists. One thing interesting I noticed with these modals is you can go to owner from there, which I thought was kind of interesting. It only works right with applications that actually implement this. Here's the window manager settings. Ooh, palette flash. Let's see, what can I kill? Look at the palette, go back to normal. There we go. Maybe not. The struggle is real. But this, kids, is why we're glad we don't have 8-bit per pixel 256 color displays anymore. And yeah, and that's it for OpenWindows 3 on SunOS 4.1.4. Hope you enjoyed it.